everyone, my name is Emily and I'm an educator with the Virginia Living Museum. And for this video, we're going to be doing an upcycle craft. So what it means to upcycle is to take something unusual or typically hard to recycle or reuse and find a new creative purpose for it. So what we're going to be upcycling today is a plastic grocery bag. And what we're going to turn it into is this cute little braided bracelet. So what you're going to need in order to make this bracelet are just a few things. First, you're going to need a pair of scissors. Then you'll need your plastic grocery bag. To make it bright and colorful, you'll need some beads. You're going to need the pony beads or something with a big opening in order to weave it through the plastic. And you will need some tape as well. Scotch tape will work perfectly fine. I just happened to run out before I made this video. So I have packing tape with me, but Scotch tape is perfectly fine. So go ahead and take a moment to pause this video and collect these materials. And when you're ready to upcycle and make this bracelet with me, go ahead and press play. Now that we have all of our materials collected, let's get started. So first you want to start off with your plastic bag on a flat surface. So you just want to lay it out so it's nice and flat. Here's the top part of my bag and the bottom part of my bag. The first thing we're going to need to do is just trim off the bottom part of our bag. So go ahead and grab your pair of scissors and just trim off the bottom. Basically that sealed edge is what we don't want right now. So you're just going to take it, cut it off, and set it aside. So once you have that edge removed from your bag, we're going to cut out 3 strips to braid together to make our bracelet. And my general rule of thumb for the size of strips you're going to need is the 2-finger width. So 2 fingers is about as thick as you need the strips to be. If you're a little kid, you are more than welcome to use 3 fingers instead, but as an adult, I'm going to stick to just the 2-finger rule. So I take my 2 fingers, I lay them out on the edge that I just cut, use my scissors, make a little notch next to them, and that's about as thick as my strip needs to be. So I'm going to continue to cut that same width down the entirety of the bag. And what I'm left with now is a nice big loop. So this is a loop from my plastic bag. And to make it into a strip, I'm just going to take the loop and cut it. So now I have one nice big long strip. And I'm going to do that same thing twice. So we have 3 strips in total. So again, 2 fingers down, make a little notch, and continue to cut all the way down. And once I have my loop, we're going to cut in one place to make a strip. And we do this one more time. 2 fingers, lay it down, make a notch, and continue to cut. It's okay if your strips that you make are not perfectly even. If one side's a little bit wider than the next, that's okay. It's all going to even out when we braid it together. One more loop, and we're going to cut it. So now I have my 3 strips, and this rest of the bag, there's still plenty more to make more bracelets out of, but we're just going to set it aside for now because I don't need this at this moment. So set that aside, and now I have my 3 long strips. And we want them to be long because this is going to give us plenty of room to make any size bracelet that we need in the future. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our 3 pieces and we're going to layer them on top of one another at the end. So this is the end of each one of my strips, and they're all 3 right next to each other, and I'm going to make a knot right here at the end. So this is going to be the start of our bracelet. So you just want to loop around, so just a really simple basic knot. Pull it nice and tight, and there is my simple little knot. It's not very big, that's okay, but this is going to be the part of the strand that helps tie the bracelet together. So we're going to make the strand first, then we'll work on the bracelet and end with another strand. So this top knot is actually to help hold our first bead in place. So what you want to do is you want to get your beads, pick any one of them out, and we're going to slip them up one of these strips of our plastic bag. So pick any one of your strips, it doesn't matter at this point, and to help feed the bead onto the plastic strip, you're going to just take it and you're going to twist it. So if you twist the plastic bag, it gets nice and small, so it becomes kind of like a string, and that will help you feed the bead right onto the piece of plastic. So there's my bead onto my piece of plastic, and we're just going to pull this bead all the way down that strip till it meets up with that knot at the very end. So now I've got the knot right on top of my bead. We're going to make one more knot, and this knot now is going to go underneath this bead. So it's going to go knot, bead, knot. So just like before, it could be just a simple little loop knot. So make a loop, pull it through, and pull the knot nice and tight. So again, it's under the bead. So I've got knot, bead, and then knot again. Excellent. And we're going to make that little strand, like I said, to help it tie together at the very end. So you want to give yourself maybe a good inch or two underneath that knot you just made to make one more knot. You'll get really good at knot tying as well. So here we go. And this first part right here, from this knot to this knot, is going to be your strand to tie your bracelet together. So the rest of it is going to be the actual decorative bracelet part. From here, what you're going to do is you're going to take your project and you want to lay it flat on the table so that the knot end is away from you and the loose strands are facing you. Now to help hold this in place, this is where you're going to want just a small piece of tape too. If you have Scotch tape, you can use that. If you have the big old roll of packing tape like me, it works as well. So I'm going to use the tape on my far end of my project and just tape it down to my table. So again, this is just to kind of hold it in place so that my project's not going all over. And then from here, we're going to do a simple 3-strand braid. So what a 3-strand braid is an over pattern. So I have my 3 strands. So for me, this is my right one, my middle one, and my left one. So you want to start off with the one on your right. You pick it up and you place it over top of the center one. So now this center one becomes the right one. Then you go to your left side and you take your left strand and you put that over the middle one. So the middle one becomes your left side. So it goes right over center and then left over center. And you keep going with that pattern, and you want to make sure that it gets nice and tight, nice up to the top part of your bracelet. And you go over with the right side and over with the left side, over with the right side, over with the left side. And you should start to see a really basic braided pattern. So if I hold this up, here's the start of my braided pattern right here. And I'll tape my project back down. And from here, you can start adding your beads. So just like you did before, go all the way to the end of one of your strands, twist it so that it becomes very thin like a string, put your bead on, push it all the way up to where your braid is, and continue braiding. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue this pattern and make my braid portion. We'll speed up this video a little bit, and then I'll show you how to make that second strand on the other side of the bracelet. So here we go. Okay, so once you have the length of the bracelet that you need, you're going to double check that it's going to fit around your wrist. So here's my bracelet, and you just want to lay it flat on your table, and wrap it around to make sure that it's going to comfortably fit your wrist. So I've got plenty of wiggle room here, so this bracelet from this knot to my last bead is big enough for me. So again, we're going to do the same thing we did on this side to make the second strand on this side. So we're going to start with a knot, and this knot is to hold your entire braided portion in place. So there we go. So there is my, from here to here is my braided portion. Here's my one strand, and we're going to make the other strand over here. So then you can match up this knot to this knot to see how far or how long your strand is, so you can make the strands the same size. So my strand ends here, so I want this strand to end just about here as well. So the next thing we need to do is to make this knot right here that's before our bead right there. So we're going to make a knot that's again about that 1 to 2 inches to make that full strand. So just loop around, make a knot, and we're going to add one more bead to secure this in place. So go ahead, take a strand, twist it nice and tight to make that string, take your bead, slip it on, and it'll meet up with that knot right there. And we'll make one more knot on top of this bead as well. So it goes knot, bead, and then knot again. All right, so there we go. That bead is secured because I've got my knot on this side and my knot on that side. Take your scissors one more time and you're going to just trim off the end. And you could peel off your tape if you still have your tape from securing down your project. And that's your completed bracelet. So I've got my strand, I've got my bracelet, and I've got my other strand. So these strands I left long because the way we're going to hook this together, you should be able to put it on and tighten the bracelet all by yourself without somebody needing to help you. And this is the way that we're going to do that. So I'm going to start with my one strand, and we're going to actually loop it through the braided portion itself. So I've got my bead on this side, and I've got my bead on this side. So you're going to go from this bead, and you're going to come down to that first knot that you made right before your bracelet. You're going to take the bead on the opposite side and push it through the braided portion. So you see, it's now through my braid of my bracelet. And you're going to do the same thing with this bead. So this bead now on the opposite side, so here's that knot before the braid on this side of my bracelet. You're going to take this bead and you're going to work it through the braid on this side. So now it makes one big loop. So now you have a loop for a bracelet, and what happens is if you pull those beads that are attached to your strands, it self-closes, making this bracelet as tight as you need it around your wrist. So let me show you. I have it nice and open so I can stick my wrist through it. So I've got my bracelet that I just made. This is my old one. I'm going to scoot that down my wrist just a little bit. And now that I have it wrapped around my wrist, I can use this hand to help tighten it around my wrist. So here's my one strand. I'm going to use my hand and hold that strand in place. And here's my other strand with my other bead, and I'm just going to pull. You'll notice as I pull, the strands get bigger and the bracelet got tighter around my wrist. So now there's not that much wiggle room. And you could take these strands and you could just wrap them back around your bracelet so they don't hang so much. And now you have a nice beaded plastic bag bracelet for you to wear. Easy during the summertime. They're completely waterproof, so go ahead and jump in a pool or go to your local beach and you can swim around with them because they're completely waterproof. And they're really fun and creative to make, and it's a nice way to reuse something that's not easy to recycle, like our plastic grocery bags. So I hope you guys had as much fun as I did making these really cool bracelets today. If you would like to share them with us, we would love to see what you made. Feel free to post them on any one of our social media platforms. And until next time, have a great rest of your day.